I have a confession to make. I lied in yesterday's video. I didn't tell a falsehood or an untruth per se, but I lied by omission. I lied by forcing a falsely cheerful attitude. I lied by not being genuine. And that's completely counterproductive to the entire purpose of why I'm doing these videos. The truth is, I get worried whenever I go live because I don't want to inadvertently drag people down. But if I'm worried about what other people think of what I say and I do, then this entire video series is essentially worthless. That's partially why I've chosen not to release this video live, why I've pre-recorded it, and why this one's going to be a little bit different. So let's talk about what really happened yesterday. Yesterday I was depressed. I was very, very depressed. I felt like a failure. I didn't feel good physically. All I wanted to do was crawl back into bed and sleep. My entire day was plagued by indecision and inability to work on the things that I desperately needed to work on. I lost nearly an entire day of productivity yesterday because of this. And it's something that's been building for a while. But this whole 5 a.m. challenge thing ended up being the straw that broke the camel's back. I've been struggling with how to address this because I know to some it's going to look like I'm admitting defeat. To some it's going to look like I'm not doing what I set out to do. But I've got no choice. I need to address this. My entire life has been a cacophony of voices. And each and every one of those voices is trying to tell me how to live my life. Is trying to tell me what I need to do. And some of the voices do have generically helpful and useful tips. I'm not going to blame a person who tells me to go to the gym. I'm not going to blame a person who tells me to spend more time in thinking and in prayer. I'm not going to blame a person who tells me to try to be kinder or more helpful. But those are only a percentage of the voices. Some of the voices have very well-meaning and advice where they're genuinely trying to be kind and to be helpful. A large percentage of the voices are just talking. They have their own agendas, their own priorities, and they want to make sure that the world gets in line with their priorities. And a percentage of those voices are only out to see others fail, or only out to build themselves up and tear the people around them down. I have never been a normal person. I have fallen outside the lines of normal since I was a little kid. And so my whole life has been a cacophony, a never-ending flood of noise and voices. And all these voices do is tell me how I need to be different. How what I am isn't good enough. How this needs to be done better or that needs to be done better. You need to do this many reps while you're at the gym. You need to eat these kinds of foods or those kinds of foods. You need to adopt this worldview. You need to believe in this political cause. You need to take this medication, or you need to stop eating that. You need to not help this person because this person doesn't deserve your help. You need to pull away from these group of people because they're toxic, and it goes on and on and on. A never-ending flood that just won't stop. And it's deafening. And I can't handle it anymore. I cannot handle the voices. Last night, miraculously, the voices went quiet. Because I had a friend reach out to me and spoke some wisdom to me that I desperately needed to hear. Now, let me be clear. I have heard this wisdom before from one of my very, very best friends. We've had this conversation time and time again. And I don't know why it took a second person pointing this out to make it click. But when I had a friend reach out last night and tell me this, it made all the voices stop. And it brought peace. What he said was, "You are the best at being Matt. Nobody else can be Matt as good as you." And I like Matt. I don't need anybody else. He doesn't know it, but I started to cry. Because I can count on one hand the number of times somebody has actually looked at me and said, "I like you for who you are," without any qualifiers, without any caveats or desires for me to change. Simply accepted the whole of me, the parts that he saw and the parts that he didn't see. There are only a few people on this planet that have done that. The voices are constantly trying to change me. As I said, some are trying to make me better. But many of them are trying to make me something that I'm not. And the problem is that I've listened to them. It started in earnest when I was, I think I was 19 or 20. And I had certain people in my life, people who at the time I highly valued their opinion, tell me that some of the things I was doing had no value. I didn't have any kind of internal mechanisms for dealing with that, because I actually grew up with relatively supportive parents and grandparents and friends. I didn't know what to do when somebody told me I needed to be different. And it wasn't an attempt to improve me. It was an attempt to change me into something that they wanted instead of what I wanted or what I was. And the chain has just continued itself, link by link and yard by yard. I keep listening to the voices that are trying to change me. And I let bits and pieces of who I am become eroded away, trying desperately to please everybody, not wanting to be at odds with anybody, always wanting to be friends, morphing myself to try and fit what they desire. I became a chameleon, able to warp and adjust my personality on the fly to adjust to whatever groups I'm with. I still do it to this day. I blend into whichever group of friends I'm with. I modify my conversations, my mannerisms, even my figures of speech to match what I know they are going to find more acceptable. And every time I do it, I dilute who I really am. I'm not gonna lie. Some of what I am isn't good. Some of who I am needs to be improved. But some of who I am is also really good. Some of it is quirky, some of it is unique, some of it is different and powerful beyond what most people can imagine. And I've crippled myself in my life. I've crippled myself listening to the voices. I feel like King Theoden from the Two Towers, sitting hunched over in his throne as his body wastes away and his face wrinkles, as cobwebs collect around him and as his kingdom falls to ruins, and all because of the voices whispering in his ear. It stops today. I'm done. I am me. And I'm not changing it for anybody else anymore. I am standing up. I am throwing off the voices that seek to change and undermine me. And I am stepping forth into the light. Most of the time, I feel like a hunchback. Because when I'm around people, I pull in on myself. I make myself less than who and what I really am. My opinions, my ideas, my excitement or frustration, my very energy, I pull in and control so that I don't even know what, so that I don't scare the people around me. People get frustrated when you don't have the same limitations and weaknesses that they do. And so, over time, I've adopted limitations and weaknesses so that I blend better. I've adopted errors in how I think to make it easier to understand the way the world sees things. And over time, it all became real. The perceived weaknesses became real weaknesses. The errors in my thinking became permanent. And the hunchback, instead of being an act, became real. None of you know what I look like at full power. None of you have ever seen me at full strength and at full potency and potential, because I've hidden it for so long. I'm done hiding. I'm done being less than what I can be. I am done allowing others to tell me who I am. I am done living in shadows. So I'm mounting up with the Rohirrim. And I'm charging down upon an army of orcs, a force vaster than anything I could ever imagine. And I'm not listening any longer to the voices that are trying to make me less than who I am. And that means there are going to be changes in how I do things and who I hang out with and what I do. I am not a morning person, guys. I never have been. What I said yesterday is true. Yes, I have more time during the day when I get up, and yes, getting up and going on a walk helps me. It helps me be more productive. It makes me feel better. But that's not linked to 5 a.m. That's linked to getting out of bed and immediately doing something active. I am not just a creature of the day or just a creature of the night. I am both. I love the sunrise when I can see it. I love the warmth. I love the way that the light sparkles off the snow or the grass or whatever is out during that season. I love the beautiful vistas that we can see during the day here in Colorado. I love all of those things. But getting up so early, I also have to go to bed early. And I rob myself of one of the most valuable parts of my day. The quiet of the night, when everyone else is asleep, when all the noise from the day is gone, when the stillness reaches out and enfolds me in its velvet embrace, when my thoughts can expand and move freely with no interference. Those of you who are exclusively day walkers will say that I'm weak for not getting up as early as they do. Those of you who are night walkers will say that I'm weak for not staying up as late as you do. But it's neither. It's who I am. And I'm tired of robbing myself of the tools that I need. There's a lot of things where who I am is a weird hybrid. A hybrid between extremes, and the people on those extremes are not going to be happy with me because I choose to do what's right for me, what works for me. And you're just gonna have to deal with it. I am not bowing to anybody else any longer. Those of you who have chosen to be my friend and will continue to choose to be my friend are going to stick with me no matter what. Those of you who don't, those of you who want to try to stop me, get out of my way, or you're going to be moved. It's time to go to full power. It's time to stop hiding in the shadows. It is time to charge, to ride for wrath, ride for ruin, and for the red sunrise. But unlike Theoden, I don't see death. I see life. I see white shores and a far green country. And I see a path laid out before me that is going to take all of my strength